Okay, good morning students. Now we are discussing about the lab part, which is statistics and analytics. So in that we are learning about unit first, which is statistical data collection and types. So now we have to discuss about the statistical data collections and type. What is statistics? I think it is well known about the concept of statistics in 10th standard itself. So statistics is a branch of mathematics which deals with the collection, organization, analysis, interpretation and presentation of data. So statistics means it is a branch of mathematics which deals with these concepts which has to be collect, organize, analyze, interpret and presentation of data. So now we are discussing about what is data. See, the word data is derived from Latin word datum, which means something is given antheli. So the word data is derived from a Latin word datum, which means something is given. So hagadre what is data means? Data andre eno. So data is a collection of facts such as numbers, words, measurements, observations or descriptions of things, qualitative versus quantitative. So what is data means? Data is a collection of facts such as numbers, words, measurements, observations or descriptions of things which are qualitative versus quantitative. So now after a long research, the question has been developed. So data is being collected continuously through the observation. Then it is organized and summarized and then classified and represents graphically. Okay. So data can be divided into two categories. So first one, which is qualitative data and quantitative data. So data can be divided into two categories. The first one is qualitative data and second one is quantitative data. Among these two categories, quantitative data can be further classified into two types. So first one, which is discrete data, and the second one is continuous data. Remember these two datas which are quantitative data itself. Okay, so quantitative data is divided into the two types. One, it is discrete data and another one is continuous data. So now what is the classification of data? So classification of data means, so data can be classified into the two types as we have already said. One, it is called qualitative data and another one it is called quantitative data. And again further, quantitative data is divided into two types. One, it is discrete data, another one is continuous data. Okay, so this is how we can classify the datas. And now we are discussing about one by one. So what is qualitative data means? See, qualitative data is a descriptive information. It describes something like qualities or characteristics. So what is qualitative data? Qualitative data is a descriptive information. It describes something like qualities or characteristics. So qualitative data means we have to collect the informations or collect the data in the form of descriptions. Okay, so this data collected using questionnaires. ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ಈ ಥರದ ಡಾಟಾಗಳನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಡಾಟಾ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನರೀಸ್, ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆರ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಡಾಟಾಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ in the form of questionnaires, interviews, observations and case studies. It is not course studies, it is case study. So now ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ಡಾಟಾ? ಆ ಥರದ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ಡಾಟಾಸ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಕೆಲವು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಹೇಳಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದರೆ, ಸೊ ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಈ ಈಸ್ ಬ್ರೌನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬ್ಲ್ಯಾಕ್. ನೋಡಿ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಬೈ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಬೈ ಸೀಯಿಂಗ್ ದ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್. ಒಬ್ಬ ಪರ್ಸನನ್ನು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು we can collect this data is a brown and black. ಓಕೆ, ಒಬ್ಬ ಪರ್ಸನನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು ನಾವು, ಸೊ ಅವನು ಯಾವ ಕಲರ್ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ, ಸೊ ಈಸ್ ಬ್ರೌನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬ್ಲ್ಯಾಕ್. ಸೊ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಬೈ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ದ ಡಾಟಾ ಈಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಕಲರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್, ಈ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಅ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ. ಸೊ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ನೀವು ಅನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ? ಹೌ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ವಿ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ದಿಸ್ he has a lot of energy means just by interviews, ಅಥವಾ ಸೊ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಅವನಿಗೆ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ರೌಂಡ್ನ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ನೀವು ಸೊ ಒಂದು 100 ಮೀಟರ್ ರನ್ ಮಾಡಿ 2 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ನೀನು ರನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ರೀಚ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, ಸೊ ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೀಚ್ ವಿತಿನ್ 2 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್. ನಾವು ದೆನ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ದಟ್ he has a lot of energy. So like this we can collect the datas. Okay, and he is capable of selecting to a big company. Okay, so this can be collect by using interviews. ಈಗ ನೀವು ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಕಂಪನಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಸೊ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಬೈ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿ ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಪಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇದೆಯಾ, ಎಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಕಂಪನೀಸ್, and that will be made by interviews. So this is also one of the collection of datas, and he is very intelligent. ಸೊ ಅವನು ಬಹಳ ಬುದ್ಧಿವಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ನೀವು ಅನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ? ಹೌ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ವಿ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ದಿಸ್, ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ದಟ್ ಎ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಈಸ್ ಅನ್ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆಂಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಬೈ ಆಸ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ದ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಬೈ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ದ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್, ಆರ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇರಬಹುದು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ದ datas, and that data is called as qualitative datas. He has a long hair. Just by observations we can say that he has a long hair. So observation is also one of the type of tool to collect the datas. Okay, and he is very nervous. He is very nervous. ನಿಮಗೆ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸೊ ಒಬ್ಬ ಪರ್ಸನ್ನು ಅಥವಾ ಒಬ್ಬ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟು ನರ್ವಸ್ ಆಗಿದಾನ ಅಥವಾ ಫ್ರೀಯಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಇಟ್ ಬೈ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂಸ್. So these are all the examples of qualitative data. Means qualitative data means it is a descriptive collection of informations. So we can collect the data in the form of descriptions. Okay, so now we have to discuss quantitative data. So what is quantitative data means? Quantitative data is a type of data whose values is measured in the form of numbers or counts. See, quantitative data is a type of data whose values is measured in the form of numbers or counts. Andre this data can be collected in the form of counts. Okay, quantitative data galanna hege ನಾವು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ in the form of counts. So with unique numerical values associated with each data set. Okay, so data set means it is a conduction of an experiment. ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆರಿಮೆಂಟನ್ನು ನೀವು ಮಾಡೋದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಡಾಟಾ ಸೆಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕರಿತೇವೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ದ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆರಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡನ್, ಸೊ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೇನು ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀವಿ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಡಾಟಾ ಸೆಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕರಿತೇವೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಡಾಟಾ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ನೋನ್ ಆಸ್ ನ್ಯೂಮರಿಕಲ್ ಡಾಟಾ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಡಾಟಾ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ನೋನ್ ಆಸ್ ನ್ಯೂಮರಿಕಲ್ ಡಾಟಾ. ಸೊ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ಡಾಟಾ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ನ್ಯೂಮರಿಕಲ್ ಡಾಟಾ. And this data is collected from surveys, questionnaires, etc. So ಈ ಥರದ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ಡಾಟಾಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ಸರ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಡನ್ ಬೈ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಸರ್ವೇಸ್. ಸರ್ವೆ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ವಿ ಆರ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ದ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ಸ್. ಈಗ ಒಂದು 10 years ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಸೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ಸೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಮನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ದೆನ್ ದ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ದಟ್ so this year the population of India is nearly 140 crores. Okay, so ಈ ಥರ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಡೋದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ಡಾಟಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕರಿತೇವೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಡನ್ ಬೈ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಸರ್ವೇಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕ್ವಶನರೀಸ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಡಾಟಾ ಈಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಟು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ದ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಸಚ್ ಆಸ್ ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ. ನೋಡಿ, ನೀವು ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ದೇರ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಸರ್ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ದೇರ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ 10 ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಿ, ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ 60 ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ದ ನಂಬರ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ 10, 60 ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಕೌಂಟ್, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ಡಾಟಾಸ್. Okay, so that can be decided from the question of how many, how much, and how often, etc. Okay, So examples anta bandre ನೀವು, if we have an examples of such quantitative data are, there are 5 dozens of mangoes in a basket. How many mangoes are there in the basket anta helidre ನೀವು, so 5 dozen or 1 dozen or 50 mangoes are there. The numbers or counts what we are representing is called as quantitative data, and that data is in the form of counts. So Indian population is 140 crores. Okay, so idelladu nodi, it represents the quantities. So that's why it is called as quantitative data. In Karnataka, 800 lakhs people are serving in government jobs. 8 lakhs people are serving in government jobs ant heli karitare. So these are all some of the examples of what is called as quantitative data. So the next, quantitative data is again further divided into the 2 types what we have already said in the last concept. So first one is discrete data and another one is continuous data. So now what is discrete data means? Discrete data is a quantitative data that can be counted and has finite number of possible values. Remember, discrete means it has a finite number of counts. Okay, so collection of finite number of counts are called as discrete data. It is a quantitative data that can be counted and it has finite number of possible values. Examples, give an example means the number of students in a class. So that is the finite number of students which are present in the class. Okay, and number of players required in a team. There are infinite number of players beku anta enilvalla, it has a finite number of players which are required for a team. And number of members in the legislative assembly. So for example, we have a legislative assembly in Karnataka which is of 225 constituencies. Okay, so adana meeri jaasti irolla, so that's why it has a finite number of counts. Okay, so ee tara finite number of counts galanna neevu collect madidre datas galalli, that is called as descriptive data ant heli karitare. And now what is called as continuous data. So what is continuous data means? Continuous data is a quantitative data that can be measured. It has that can be measured and has infinitely number of possible values with a selected range. Okay, so continuous data is a quantitative data that can be measured. It has an infinite number of possible values with a selected range. Okay, so that means we can collect this data under infinite number of ranges. Okay, so examples, for example, if we have an heights, temperature, weight, time, etc. So these are all the examples of what is called as continuous data. So such as, for example, a person has some heights. Okay, so a person on the height alli idane ant helidre, so height is measured in terms of infinites. Andre obba height iro person innobba ade height irbeku anta enilla, the height will be vary from person to persons. So and now, so time of India, it is moves on going. Okay, and now person's weight, temperature of the particle, etc. So these are all the examples of what is called as continuous data. Okay, so these are all the concept to be learned more for your lab part. Okay, so dear students, please share these videos and tell them to your friends to subscribe more and like it more. Thank you.